And that is the whole idea and concept of buying local. The idea is a good one. What does it mean? And what does it do? What are the advantages of such? And whether or not there may be some disadvantages to it. How does it help? When we talk about buying local, it typically means for us that you are choosing to buy food and other products from local farmers and businesses. Generations ago, the only option people really had for shopping was to buy local. So there was no need for a buy local campaign or anything like that, because that was the only option. Our great-grandparents ate vegetables grown in their gardens and bought the clothing and tools and other goods handmade in their own communities. And this takes us way back to our ancestors. It's kind of the way it was. Didn't have to talk about buy local campaign. But today's globalized market fulfills our every whim by delivering goods that are either unavailable in our own communities or are cheaper to buy elsewhere. The advent of the internet and everything else makes it so easy to purchase stuff from all over the place. But mainly talking about food here. But this luxury to get anything anywhere is a testament to human ingenuity. So let's not knock that. But it also bears environmental and social consequences. In today's economically turbulent and environmentally unfriendly times, many consumers choose to shop only within their community or their country. Community resilience and environmental integrity are at the heart of this buy local movement. It also offers businesses a special opportunity to support fellow businesses within the same community or state. And certainly there are many advantages to buying local. And as I said, though, the concept is not without its potential disadvantages. How do you weigh them? We will talk about. Buy local, often touted as the best way to be environmentally friendly and support the community. And buying local means just that. Purchasing items grown or manufactured at home. By purchasing food and other goods that are produced locally, you stimulate the economy in which you live. Jobs are created or retained. The community gains revenue. Families and cultures are supported, and things will thrive and grow. Purchasing locally also means that you know a bit more about the quality you're getting. You know that certain goods have been produced in a way that meets stringent regional or national standards. And when purchasing goods from out of the country or someplace else, foreign, it can be difficult to know the manufacturing process or processes, and potentially harmful chemicals and byproducts may be involved, which you know nothing of. Further, sourcing locally produced goods reduces things like transportation costs. I have to transport it from some other global location, which adds to the cost, right? Local items are also more likely to be fresh compared to items that are coming from a world away. Buying locally also presents a special networking opportunity among businesses and farmers and the community. And choosing to buy from another of your own within your community can lead to new connections, even special discounts, and the chance to collaborate and support one another. However, as I said before, there are some challenges within this buy local movement. For one thing, you will typically find a smaller selection of foods offered by local farmers, because the reality is that certain foods can only be grown during certain times of the year. You have some seasonal crops. And many of the foods we find in the grocery store and supermarket comes from some other tropical region overseas. So if everyone started buying local foods, there are some foods that may no longer be available during certain season, and maybe not at all. Another thing is that local food also tends to spoil faster, as people would say, because it isn't typically treated with preservatives like a lot of the produce we find in our supermarket. Now, when you debate that particular point, you weigh that and you say, well, I don't really want the preservatives, right? But a lot of the stuff you buy in the supermarket are preserved in some way, and so they last longer, and you are actually buying something that is filled with preservatives. But somehow you're liking that a lot better, right? For some reason. The other thing is that it is also not very pretty when you buy local stuff, right? And part of that is our own fault. Maybe the farmer's fault in some way. A lot of local farmers will tell you it is more difficult for them to sell their produce because some people are buying based on the looks. You ever go into the supermarket as well. You go into the local market here. People are looking at produce, and you see them eyeballing the produce, and they pick it up and they look all around it, and they're looking at it, and they're picking them out, right? People are picking out the best ones, and it's all about sight, how it looks, right? If it doesn't look good, they're not taking that one. It has to have this nice finish, nice looking color, nice looking skin. That's a natural behavior. It's a natural behavior. So most of us then used to seeing perfect looking waxed fruit and vegetables in the supermarket. They're prepared that way so that they look perfect, without a blemish. That is what you get in the supermarket because they are prepped. But that doesn't faze us a whole lot, because a lot of our buying behaviors are about what we see, the sight. And sight and smell and so on do a lot for us when we purchase any item, really. And so we look at these things in the supermarket that are well prepared, well prepped, for sure. And they have them waxed and shiny. So in our minds, that's a great looking product, and that's the one we're going to purchase. As opposed to when you go to the local market or the local vendor and you pick up potato or any other vegetable, and it's filled with all kinds of dirt and everything else, then that's not appealing to us. So therefore, we don't want that. Even though we're going to go home and wash it off, but it's not appealing to us. However, I say that sometimes it's the fault of the farmer as well, because if I am going to sell a product or sell my produce, then it might be a good idea, don't you think, to maybe wash some of it off, before I take it to market, because it's still about presentation. You want to sell it, it's still about presentation, and so it wouldn't hurt to make it look presentable to anyone coming looking for produce. And let's face it, you're also in competition with the person in the stall next to you or somewhere in the market, right? So to the extent that you take some time and make your produce looking good, then it's going to go well for you, right? There's no way that you're going to be doing the waxing and so on and shining up of vegetables as the person, as the supermarket does or gets with the imported stuff. But at least for the people coming into the local vendors and the local market, you giving yourself a fighting chance. One of the things that people also talk about is the fact that sometimes you try to give your support to a vendor, and that vendor give you some prices that don't really make a whole lot of sense to you, because if you step away from the vendor and went into the supermarket, you would get a lower price for the same vegetable. And many times people complain about, why is that? I want to support the local farmer, the local vendor, but it would seem to me that the price is higher than in the supermarket. And we have a lot of times where it has been said that some of these vendors are actually going into the supermarket and purchasing and coming out and selling, which don't make a lot of sense to me, because it really should be the other way. I should get a better product or a less costly product from the local farmer, but it's not always the case. And so all of these things we got to think about when we talk about buying local. I have had conversations with a local businessman who imports the product that he sells from one of his suppliers in the region. And in talking to him about that and asking him why not local, he gave me an answer which was quite familiar to me, because I'd heard it before coming from certain hotels. And the point he was making is that he did make an attempt to support the local farmer to get his product that he wanted to sell. But he ran into a problem where his supplier will be good today and supply him with everything he needs. And he has gone out and developed relationships with supermarkets and other entities, signed contracts where he will supply them with X amount of this particular produce. And now he's dependent on that relationship that he's forming with the local farmer to get him that, so that he can supply these supermarkets that he has negotiated with. But there has been times when he can count on them and then the next week they'll tell him they're falling short, they don't have enough. So he is left in a position where he cannot supply the people he has negotiated with. That puts his business at risk, because he is now seen as not a reliable supplier. So therefore, he made the business decision that it made more sense for him to get a supplier from someplace else to send him a container of this particular product every week and take it from there. That supplier keeps to his word and supplies him the container of this product every week. So he's able to supply the supermarkets that he has formed a relationship with, and therefore protecting his business. But it's not that he doesn't want to go locally. And secondly, it is about the care that some of the farmers want to place on their product, their produce. So there's a lot that go into, and there's some challenges that go into the buy local. That same thought process comes from some some hotels who say that if they have, say, a need for X amount of tomatoes because they need to prepare food for their guests that come into the hotels on a regular basis, they now know they need X amount. They run into the same problem where a local farmer will say, well, this weekend I can't come up with that amount this week, maybe next week. And you can't run a business where somebody tells you maybe next week, because now you're put in a position where you cannot satisfy your guests at that hotel. So I say all that to say that the idea of buying local, good idea, has all the good advantages environmentally and otherwise, and supporting the community and otherwise, but sometimes we're our own worst enemy in terms of what we do. So I am actually saying that some of the blame must go to the supplier, some of the blame must go to the farmer, and so it's not all the fault of somebody else. And that is what I want us to consider when we talking about buying local. In that same context, I do support that the farmers should have some way of sending their supply to, as we would say, a depot, which provide a marketing opportunity for them, where they can, on a wholesale level, take that to some source that will market that from that point on, and so they can do what they do best. One of the problems that the farmers have is in marketing the product, and so all these are things that we can look at when we have this discussion about buying local and the local, supporting the local farmers. There's a whole lot of challenges that go with that, and it's not just cut and dry that we don't want to support the local farmer. But let's face it, there are some challenges with that, because on another level, farmers want to all grow the same thing. If a farmer decides that somebody is out there selling tomatoes and they seem to be doing well, that farmer decides he's going to plant tomatoes too. And so now you end up with a glut on the market of tomatoes and nobody can get them sold. As opposed to some cooperative effort where we determine that this season or this period, you're going to grow tomatoes, I'm going to grow potatoes, and shift that around whenever, so that we constantly have that supply of that produce on the market, as opposed to a glut. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the whole buy local issue and our farmers. You may have a different thought, or you may be able to enlighten me on some of the things that you face. 465 2555 is local number. 718-577-2916 is that overseas number, if that is more convenient for you. We will take your calls on the other side of a quick break and hear from you as to what you have to say when we come back from this quick break on this important topic. We will be back in a moment. Welcome back to Frank and Candid. This morning we are having a discussion, or want to talk this morning about this whole buy local idea and some of the challenges with that, farmers and all of that. So I'm trying to get your take on that, on anything I've said, agree or disagree, and maybe some enlightenment as to maybe where I went wrong or what I should be looking at. Let's go to the phone. Say good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Right.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Nias. How are you doing?
I am doing well.
Now you did quite a good coverage.
Okay.
You ain't leave no space. Anyway, now the topic you raised, especially if we're talking about agriculture, we have been around that mulberry bush so many times.
Yeah.
Lots of trainings have been done, because I recall when I used to work, I did agriculture development and policy at university. So I used to actively involve myself with the agriculture department. But our people, for some reason, we stuck with tradition, and we are very conceited and selfish. Because if you could get an order and get other farmers to provide you with the quantities, it will help. But some of it, I don't have it, you know what I mean? And another thing in terms of the quality, our people do not want to grade. If you intend to export, the product should be graded. You're going to buy potato, all kind of, we just call them again, eh? Large one, bend up one, 31, for the same price. I mean, it will surprise you. Picking, we call them picking.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Picking is those small, like when we potato, what is left back in the field. I mean, you'll be surprised. Some little picking, some of them you can't even peel them, but they refuse to grade their products. At one time, there was even an attempt. I think they used to use them, some of them used to wash the products in the market. They have been taught all of that,
Yeah.
They go, I have no time.
Oh.
And don't talk about the glut. Time and time again, they have been taught and everything and encouraged. So you specialize in this and let somebody else do that. Well, if this is tomato time, I want to be in it. And so they end up making less for their products because the market is small. And the export, some of them lack the enthusiasm, and they don't want to hear that. I recall this lady, from Newton Ground. She used to go down to the islands when the boats come to sell her products. Well, the younger ones I know, I think the Gideon farm do some selling online. Where you can place orders. I don't know how many more. But I don't know. With the hotels now and the restaurants, I think what can be done, if we could only produce for 6 months because of the temperature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they could give a 6-month contract and give the overseas suppliers the other 6. It can be done like that.
But they seem to have lost confidence, though. That's the problem.
No, man, they're allowed to get away with it.
Mm.
Because, I mean, well, in the other countries, in Barbados, most of the chicken they produce.
Mm-hmm.
They're not producing any big farms, Not a big farms. People got chicken thing in the back of the yard where they sell eggs and stuffed chicken.
So Miss Henry, you believe that we have the capability to supply hotels and say maybe a couple of cruise ships who want to restock?
But we don't even got to go to the cruise ship.
Okay.
You must look at your scope, right?
Okay.
The area that you have to cultivate. It don't make no sense you go and take a contract that even with the land space you have, you can't deliver. That don't make sense.
Okay.
So, all right, you could handle, talking about by local.
Right.
They used to do licensing, But, we went and joined WTO, which we did not understand.
Mm.
On the WTO, you cannot put up any barriers to trade.
Right.
That's the first thing. Because prior to that, you could not import certain products without a license. And licenses were only given when the product was scarce. So you could not bring in carrots and cabbage and all of that.
Well, some people will call that protectionism.
It is.
Okay.
But nothing is wrong with it,
No, I agree.
I'll tell you something I learned. So anyway, now on the WTO, what can be done which our people don't seem to know? I learned it in India when I went on this course. The gentleman who was, India is very protectionist, You see how the farmers thinking?
Mm-hmm.
You see all like farmers saying they demanded that the market be left to them?
Yeah.
The gentleman who was the head of the WTO was an Indian. He's now retired, an older man. And he also is promoting protectionism in India. And the farmers refuse to step back. Because as far as they're concerned, so all right, now what kind of governments do you have? You go out and you're in WTO. And you find you cannot ban the goods them. You do what I love, what is called tarification, like what you see America did to China.
Yeah.
They can't ban them, so you put a tariff on them.
Yep.
Now you put the tariff high enough to make the imported product
less attractive, right?
No. More expensive, because I'm talking about expensive.
More expensive, yeah.
More expensive. So when you put a 25% so on the carrots are coming from the USA. Ours, but you see the trouble with our people, that our farmers take the price from the same supermarket. No, it's true.
Yeah.
They go into Rams or whoever, and whatever price in there is what they want out here.
Yeah. All right.
All right then.
Okay, let's take another call. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Good morning, Mr. Nair.
Good morning, sir.
How are you today?
I am doing well. You?
I'm doing great.
Okay.
I want to say good morning to Mrs. Henry. Mrs. Henry used a word. They're allowed to get away with it. I would use a stronger word. It may not be stronger, but they are not being held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Nair, today, the world is playing with words, and they are creating systems that would benefit their survival. Now, let's look at agriculture. Today, we have in our supermarket GMO. Now, I have worked in the hotel industry here in Mr. Nair, and ever since I lost my job in March, I've been doing some agriculture at home. I went up to the agriculture department and I purchased some slips. Mr. Nair, my soil at home was full with some white worms with some brown heads. From the time I purchased those seedlings from the agriculture department here, along with the fertilizer, the products that I purchased, the bare ones, they never reproduce. The fertilizer, I don't know if it's the fertilizer or the plant itself. Those worms have disappeared from the soil. Now, we are a greedy people. Our leaders are greedy, we are greedy. The system has made us that way. Because it's about survival, Mr. Niles. It's about survival. It's we or them. Today we have Seedco and Monsanto, and they are trying to corner the agriculture department with GMO. The difference between GMO and organic. With Seedco and Monsanto, they're selling you the seeds, they're selling you the fertilizer, and they're selling you the pesticide. Mr. Niles, do your research, Google Seedco and Monsanto, and you would see who is behind these organizations. Today, Seedco is putting up African people to manage to fund their organization by allowing Africans, and whether you want to say Caribbean, because their products are here in the Caribbean, these Africans who are fronting these organizations, our people are buying from them, and it is slowly killing us off. Mr. Niles, I am not trying to cause panic, but the facts are there. Anyone who Googles Seedco and Monsanto, and you check out these organizations, the fertilizer, everything that they're putting out there, that is, we are consuming while they are growing organic.
All right. Let's take another call. Let's try and get another call in here. Good morning. Go ahead. Welcome. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Mr. Nice. How are you today?
Doing well.
I'm calling you from a different atmosphere. Normally, most of the time I'm at home, but I'm in the open atmosphere. But agriculture, and how can we maintain a steady supply in terms of contracts too? Because we're so far removed from what agriculture would have entailed. Back in the day, our local farmers, peasantry, we do a little farming and we do a little battering. We batter the lemons for cucumbers and what's up with other little small farmers. Farming has gone beyond that now in terms of here come the hotel industry, the restaurants and so that need a bigger supply to maintain their customer base. And yes, so I would think that cooperatives is the way to go, and a better understanding amongst farmers, because the business is a business. We have to be trained, like Mrs. Henry said, business-oriented people in terms of our produce. Just like you go and you see the polished thing that you spoke about, or you see the things with the label on it, it's all a business. However you're going to label your organic, I prefer your organic stuff. And with the cooperatives, it's not going to be a small one farmer. The one farmer cannot be in the field, and the one farmer still cannot do the marketing. So it's a cooperative that members will do other chores to allow this thing to happen. And the more cooperatives there is, it will be better, because this particular cooperative, this particular group might be able to have certain things. But as you know, fruits and vegetables, some of it are seasonal, and then when that season comes on, there would always be a glut on the market. But it would not last, that glut would not last, unless you have ways and means of preserving some of it that can last for another half month or two. And all of this is a part of what we're supposed to be discussing in terms of agriculture and the produce and the contracts that we will have. Take, for instance, the fisher folk. They also do contracts with the conch and maybe the lobster to neighboring islands. And I can assure you that sometimes the guy that goes out with the conch, not quite sure how much they are have cooperatives, but they do that amongst themselves, where this guy supplies 30 pounds, the other guy supplies 40 pounds, and the demand is 70 pounds, and they accumulate the 70 pounds and send off collectively. And then when the check come back, whoever cash the check, they know that they owe this guy this amount of money and they will pay. It's the same principle applies.
All right, let's wrap up here. Let's finish up here. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the same principle applied towards our farmers. Thanks for listening.
Okay, let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Yeah, good morning, Tony.
Good morning.
Tony, I do not think farmers, especially crop farmers and livestock farmers and fishers farmers, should have got no problem with the products to distribute by the supermarket or by whatever. Tony, we had a thing, and Mr. Butcher had Simaco. I remember when I was a young boy, most of the products used to go to the Simaco, and the Simaco distribute them to whatever supermarket, or they distribute some to overseas and all those things. I believe that, Tony, that, let me tell you something, when you got ordinary people working, farming, doing these things, some of them can't control, because some of them ain't got the economic help to manage the business. You understand? So he need help from some source. Like how Simaco to take the products and then when they get the money. Okay, look at it now, just look at the abattoir. I have one problem with the abattoir. When I butcher animals to the abattoir, the abattoir deal with that for me. They distribute the meat, they sell the meat where whoever wants it, they get the meat. I have a problem to sell anybody a pound of meat, a pound of beef, a pound of nothing nowhere. They just give me the whole weight, the carcass weight, and then I get my check. It's just like the fisheries. The fishermen, they may have no problem if they go there and catch a lot of fish, they get them to the fisheries, as long as it's going good. I made to understand they had a little problem the other day. And it just so the agriculture farming was supposed to be. You got to get some kind of backup to help these farmers. Because every farmer, all the farmers, they ain't got the economical brains. They got the brains maybe to plant and grow food and, know to plant and not the food. But you want somebody to help them distribute them. Just look away the Simaco. And this is the time right now for it, I believe. Okay then.
Okay. Back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Hello, good day.
Good day.
I'm on.
Yes, you're live.
Yeah, sometimes when I speak on the radio, I like to call my name straight out. In the public, my name is Charles Warner. I'm speaking about a lady. Sorry, I'm speaking about Dash, who does traffic talk on the radio here in St. Kitts. I take by this lady matter. Comes on the radio and starts with a prayer, and appeals to the entire world who's saying that she's a godly Christian and biblical. But those same Christian principles tell us all, never try to belittle or look down on our fellow men. And I want to tell Miss Donnelly Liebert Shriverton that I wrote a letter about a man named Wilmus, not Wilmer. Okay? Now, can the whole nation imagine this? A letter is written to the traffic department. The whole of the letter takes it in. And the crossing guard is going to open the envelope and read the letter. Now, you know what is really unacceptable? A crossing guard is trying to correct my English. A crossing guard is trying to correct my English. Their standard letters which are written his or her. She tells the whole of the letter that his dash her means his and her. Now, can you imagine that? There are many letters in the public service, the public which mark dear sir, madam, miss, Mr., Mrs. Okay? Now, unfortunately, the whole of the letter acquiesces to the nonsense told to him by this crossing guard. and scratches out the her part of it because it was a male. Like I said, the man's name is Wilmot, not Wilmot. Tell that to Donnelly. Now, Donnelly Liebert is going to call me and tell me that there are scratches on my letter, speaking about where the guy, very neatly in black marker, took out the her part of it to indicate it's a male, and the male name is right at the head of the letter. That my letter has scratches, and my letter is not professional. Now, I want to tell this numbskull, Miss Donnelly Liebert, okay? This dunce-hearted woman who's in the police force for donkeys and can't get away. Do not try to disrespect Dr. Warner. I am not in a category. I didn't come up in class, in a remedial class like her, okay? And it's don't be careful. I'll tell this matter to a lawyer, you know. Because these things have implications on your job and the proceeds from your job. Nothing like Donnelly Liebert Silverton was in the police. I left in 1989, left in the police force. She's still in the same uniform. Donnelly Liebert Silverton, nothing like you, numbskull and dunce is going to disrespect Charles Warner. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, Doc, you can't do that. Let's, we got a call? Okay, all right. Farmers, buy local is the discussion. Why there are so many challenges with the whole idea, the whole movement, or the whole campaign of buying local. Why are there so many challenges? Why people ignore it? They lay out the numerous reasons why they have tried in the past to deal with the buy local movement, but based on what they're seeing, their own observation, it is not encouraging, they would say, because of a number of things which I laid out. And those things that I laid out are real. They're real. They're there. So let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome.
Yes. Give me a chance.
Hello.
All right, I'm telling the radio.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Go ahead. Morning. Yes.
No, you should have stopped the person. You know.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
very disrespectful. Very, very disrespectful, and he was allowed to continue along. You know. He owed the lady an apology, and to assume that as traffic, guard or whatever, does not know English. Some of them have subjects, you know. People take the job where it is available. Anyway. So, and you see why our young people can't learn now. You are a medical doctor, I suppose. Either medical or philosophical doctor. Do you know the person?
Hello?
The person supposed to be an example for our young people, so education should have made a difference. Anyway, let me get to the farming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of our buyers, especially the locally born ones, consumer affairs, the way you treat people. I mean, sometimes you go to I used to go to the market every Saturday because I like going to the market, meeting people and so. But some people don't have any what you call the word, I'm trying to find the word. When you treat your customers with respect, don't touch meeting them, don't handle them up. You know, they speak to you rough. What you want? You know? And I wish they understood that sometimes that is a deterrent to buying local. Because why put up with all of that insult and disrespect when you could easily walk into a supermarket without anybody intervening between you and the products? So I think sometimes, you know, they should do better. I must credit the Guyanese. People don't like to hate, you know. They go out of their way to make you want to buy from them. And then we complain, oh, I can't get my things sold, but they're selling. We need to have some, what is the correct word? Come, give me the word here. The way you deal with customers, what do you call it?
Well, it's customer service to begin with.
Customer service. Now, working in the field does not mean you have to be rude or rough. Because some people think so, and some people act so towards them too, eh? Because it goes two ways. Some buyers have no respect for farmers, and some farmers have no respect for the buyers. But we need to improve on it. Look, I used to like in Jamaica, you hear me? I used to go. Where, you know, Papine, there's a market up the road from the university. Man, when you see, some of them come in on Friday night and they go home on Saturday after lunch. They come from the country. They're begging you to buy. Come, mother, come, daughter. Yeah? Some of them you got to stand up and watch the stuff. You happen to, some of them won't even let you pick out what you want. We're talking about the grading. You know, some people can't touch nothing. They dash something into the scale and then they dash it down and they stall in front of you. No customer service. And we don't understand, we're robbing ourselves. Even with we talk about the jelly. And people say, oh, the foreigners cutting them out. Why? You ask why? Have you asked why? Some of us don't want to improve our service. You know, and so we ourselves are hindering ourselves. So I want to appeal to the vendors. Some vendors, you can't believe the markup. Over 50%, some of them are whole 100. They go into the market when the boats come. They buy something for $3, they sell it for $5. I mean, really. You can't believe the markup. And they don't even have a high spoilage. Now, if you have a high spoilage, I could understand. Because they only buy enough to sell. So we, you know, I don't know, boy. It's like Jesus going to the market, the temple to them. Sometimes some of them want treatment like that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, then.
All right. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Hello, good day.
Good day.
Yes, I'm Charles One who called a while ago.
Please don't do that again, please. Please.
Mr. Nias, can I speak?
Yes, but please don't attack person like that on the air, please.
Mr. Nias,
you can speak.
I'm not attack anybody who did not attack me.
But don't use the air for that, please.
Okay.
Go ahead, speak.
It's a public matter. I'll just finish with that. You know.
Go ahead, speak. Yeah.
I just want to tell my dear teacher, Miss husband Henry, who is Mr. Trinity. My number is 665-21. If you want to call me and discuss the matter, we can discuss it. Okay, but kindly listen. Okay, because if I write a letter, his dash her means his or her, and somebody's going to tell me that his dash her means his and her. Are they trying to correct my grammar? Okay? So, my dear teacher, Miss Henry, I respect you. You taught me Trinity. I will never disrespect you. My number is 665-21. If you want to call me, talk about, we can kind of talk about politely and with full respect. Thank you so very much.
Okay. Back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, Tony and Megan.
Yes, sir.
Tony, we who born in the 60s and the 70s, all of us born with a legacy. And a legacy we parents left us with. We come up on the agriculture, we had backyard garden. We used to eat out of our backyard. We used to milk our cow, we used to milk our goat. People, right now people, even Rastaman who meeting me, tell me if I don't milk me cow, if they want cow milk. You know? All these things just bump away, gone away, move away. This could be a business. We do our local cow milk because our cow they eat our local grass, and that milk will healthy for our children and grandchildren, and whosoever to drink. And one time in a Tony, some white soldiers come here, and they make me up in the hill. You know what they tell me? You are animal in here, healthy and good, man. You are animal healthy. I said, well, all over the healthy because they look good on the television too. He said, no, they get things, food, take food, make up food. You all get the grass and the bush here to them to eat, and your meat is healthy. So you know, are we got to blame for ourselves for what we fall into this fast food business and whatever? You understand? We got to blame ourselves, and we got to blame some of the parents them too, and some of us don't carry out the parents' them legacy. We move from our culture and gone to something else different. So that's why it come like that. Understand? Look at sweet potato. Sweet potato supposed to be about $2.50 a pound, $2.50 a pound. Sweet potato who plant in our land, own land. Who could go, you don't even got to water them. $5 and $6 a pound. All right then.
Okay. We're going back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Good day, Mr. Niles.
Good day, sir.
Yes, you gotta pay careful attention to the callers and what they bring to the fore. I mean, the damaging the reputation of this, I would think. Anyway, I would suggest that there are some even more fundamental aspects to this supply problem than things like the consumer contracts and quality and grading and reliability concerns at the back end. We have to pay attention to the front end, and we have to deal with the perennial problems like irrigation, larceny, whether it's by monkeys or man, and seasonality of the production cycle, market intelligence so that we do a better job of anticipating gluts and scarcity. Those front-end things affects what happens at the back. Okay? Then we have to figure out what to do with surpluses. Okay? In terms of food processing, for instance, and preservation and storage, until we have solutions to those and get more professional in all aspects of agriculture production, I think we will continue to have the kind of problems that you're talking about in terms of the consumer or end user. I think we're still too wedded to essentially subsistence farming. And in that environment, we could never guarantee things like the correct pricing, the quality of the produce and its reliability. You know, we have a long way to go before we get it right. Before we could even think of exporting or dealing with big customers like the hotel and cruise sector, because they will not compromise on things like quality and reliability. Okay, they're not concerned with buying local as much as they are concerned with guest satisfaction. And frankly, I think we are better off trying to get back into some cash crop agriculture, peanuts or something that will lend itself to mechanization, you know, and offer easier storage and processing opportunities. You know, those we know we can handle. Okay, and I think that would make for, well, we are assured of reliable markets in some of these cash crops. Okay, and stop trying to compete with the containers of food that comes in, cheap food that comes in and ends up on the supermarket shelves. The fact is, people, although it's nice to do, people are not going back to the old backyard gardening thing. Okay, they're going to the supermarket, pick up what they want quick, and that's it. Right? It might be just a matter of a time thing. They can't be bothered to spend the time and energy to do the backyard farming thing, or even the local use the local supply chains. Okay, not when it's so easily available elsewhere. So we really have to take another look at this. And you know, stop the emotion. Yes, I know we have an emotional attachment to agriculture, but no sense beating our head against the wall, I find, with something like this.
Okay.
Okay, then.
All right. Convenience. All right. That is also a killer.
You know, Mr. Nayas, I heard a caller that said that he put things to plant and they wouldn't plant and all of that. And I know there are persons, right? We have a chat and they produce all the time, backyard gardeners. And they got okras, they got, really good produce. So I don't trying to understand what he was saying.
I think he was referring to the genetically the GMO products that they changed them. So that's his issue. But we'll take a final call. Okay.
Yes,
Good
I'm
one.
glad to be the final one. Now
Yes.
the last caller is obvious. Unaware of what goes on in agriculture. Because lots of what you call happens, And backyard gardening has picked up considerably during this the COVID. People have turned to maybe just thinking one and two. And to suggest that forget the agriculture and bring in the containers. Food security is political independence, In the Bible, you hear about siege. They have the city under siege. No food in there. Any country that cannot feed itself cannot be secure. Let me say it again. Any country that cannot feed itself. If we are only to depend on the containers, America is very vindictive. All they have to do is give an order. No boat must leave. They don't say they won't go to St. Kitts, No food containers must leave the ports to go anywhere. And the thing about the GMO, if you read the rules, GMO are not to be exported, They have WTO have rules, but sometimes we make statements because they sound good. The farmers, there a lot you can do. Now, here's a point in that we need to have commercial farming. Those little garden thing you have, farmers must get together and you got 2 acres, I got 3, and they're contiguous, they're next to each other. We could do farming and take the supermarkets, because in Jamaica it is done. Supermarkets have agriculture, they have farms where farmers work on them to produce what they want. So it isn't a lost case.
All right.
All right then. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you. Good information, but we got to go. It is that time of the day, up against the clock. Thank you all for your comments, suggestions, your calls. Lots of good information came out there with regards to the buy local and farming and all that. And it's a discussion that could continue for a long, long time. But such as it is, we will continue to strive to do better. We will talk again tomorrow, if it is to be. My name is Tony Nias, and go out and have a good rest of this Thursday.
It's the end of Summer Madness sale, and it's only at Courts Optical for a limited time.